Hi, I'm Emily and I'm 26 years old. I want you to remember my name, because by the end of this story, one very smug, very confident man will wish he never heard it. 6 months ago, I had an idea. A simple one. The kind of idea that changes careers. And someone else stood up in a boardroom, took it, and walked out with my promotion in his pocket. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I smiled. And that smile was the most dangerous thing I've ever done. If you've ever had someone steal what was yours and get rewarded for it, stay with me. Because what happened next is the kind of quiet, calculated payback that doesn't just even the score. It ends careers. Let me take you back to the beginning. Enter Daniel. Daniel joined the team 8 months before all of this started. Tall, charming, the kind of guy who remembers your dog's name, but forgets your deadlines. He had a laugh that filled a room and an ego that filled the rest of the building. Everyone loved him. Clients loved him. Management loved him. I didn't hate him. Not at first. I actually thought we were friends. We used to grab coffee together most mornings. He'd ask about my weekend. I'd ask about his. We brainstormed together on slow afternoons, tossing ideas back and forth like it didn't matter whose mouth they came out of, because we were a team. That's what I believed. Teamwork. Looking back now, I realized Daniel was never building a friendship. He was building a case file. Every idea I mentioned in passing, he remembered. Every strategy one sketched on a napkin during lunch, he filed away. I thought he was just a good listener. Turns out, he was just a good thief. He was patient. He was quiet about it. And that made it so much worse when it finally happened. Here's where it gets interesting. Stay with me, because the moment I'm about to describe is the exact second everything changed. It was a Tuesday. I remember because Tuesdays were pitch days, and I hated pitch days. Our biggest client was slipping. Engagement was down. Retention numbers were ugly. Leadership wanted a miracle, and they wanted it by Friday. I stayed late that Monday night, alone in an empty office, lit by one desk lamp and the blue glow of my laptop. I built an entire campaign concept from scratch. A content strategy that flipped our approach completely. Instead of chasing the algorithm, we'd build a community first, and let the algorithm chase us. I wrote it all down. Slides, mock-ups, projected numbers. I was proud of it. It was the best work I'd done in years. I made one mistake. I sent Daniel a message that night. Just a casual one. I said, working on something big for tomorrow. Can't wait to show the team. I didn't send him the deck. I didn't share a single slide. I just told him I had something. That was enough. The next morning, I walked into the conference room 10 minutes early, like I always do. My laptop was ready. My notes were printed. I felt good. I felt like today was going to be my day. Daniel walked in 5 minutes late, coffee in hand, laughing at something the creative director said. He sat down across from me and gave me a small nod. A friendly nod. I nodded back. Then our director, a woman named Patricia, sharp suit, sharper tone, opened the meeting and said, "Daniel, I hear you've got something for us." My stomach dropped before he even opened his mouth. He stood up. He connected his laptop to the screen. And there it was. My campaign. My exact strategy. My exact slides, just reworded slightly, wearing his name in the corner like a designer label. I sat there in silence while he presented my idea to the entire leadership team. Word for word, structure for structure, down to the projected engagement numbers I had calculated myself the night before. I want you to imagine that feeling. Watching your own work walk across a room wearing someone else's name. I said nothing. Not one word. Because in that moment, speaking up would have made me look desperate, jealous, unprofessional. That's the trap they set for women like me. Stay quiet and lose everything. Speak up and lose your dignity too. So I sat there. And I smiled. Politely. While Patricia praised him. While the room applauded. While Daniel glanced at me once, just once, like he was checking if I'd say something. I didn't. But I remembered everything. My campaign, performed exactly as I predicted. Engagement up 40%. Client retention secured for another year. Leadership was thrilled. And who got the credit for saving the account? Not me. 3 weeks after that meeting, an email went out to the entire company. Subject line: Congratulations to our newest senior strategist. Daniel's name, Daniel's photo, Daniel's promotion, a 10% raise, a corner desk, his own small team to manage, all built on the back of an idea he never had. He came by my desk that afternoon, coffee in hand, same easy smile. He said, "Hey, thanks for being such a great sounding board on that campaign, Em. Couldn't have gotten there without our little chats." Our little chats. That was the moment something in me went cold. Not angry, cold. There's a difference, and it's important. Angry people make mistakes. Cold people make plans. I smiled at him. I said, "Congratulations, Daniel. You deserve it." He had no idea what those 4 words actually meant. Because right then, I decided something. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to file a dramatic complaint that HR would quietly bury in a folder somewhere. I was going to do something much slower, much quieter, and much more permanent. If you've ever wondered what real revenge looks like, it doesn't look like revenge at all. Not at first. It looks like patience. Here's what most people don't understand about workplace betrayal. The thief always assumes the story is over once he's gotten away with it. He stops watching. He gets comfortable. He gets sloppy. That comfort is where he becomes vulnerable. I spent the next 2 weeks doing something simple. I started documenting everything. Every idea I had from that point on, I sent it to myself first, through a personal email, time-stamped, dated, detailed. I started saving drafts, screenshots, message timestamps. Not because I was planning to expose Daniel immediately. I was building something else. A pattern. Because here's the thing about people like Daniel. They don't steal once. They steal because it worked, and it will keep working, unless someone builds a wall in front of them. I didn't have to wait long for my next piece of evidence. 6 weeks after his promotion, Daniel needed a new idea. Now that he was a senior strategist, he was expected to keep producing brilliance. Leadership doesn't care how you got the crown. They just expect you to keep wearing it well. He started hovering around my desk again. More coffee invitations. More casual brainstorming sessions. "Hey Em, got any thoughts on the Hendricks account? Just thinking out loud here." This time, I was ready. I fed him an idea. A real one on the surface. Detailed enough to sound credible. Ambitious enough to impress leadership. But I built one small flaw into it. One number that looked right but wasn't. One projection that would only fall apart under real scrutiny. Weeks down the line, after he'd already presented it as his own. I call it a controlled explosion. You don't detonate revenge in one blast. You plant it, and you wait for gravity to do the rest. He took the idea exactly like I knew he would. He didn't even change the wording much this time. Confidence makes people lazy. 3 days later, he presented his strategy for the Hendricks account in front of the same leadership team that had promoted him. Same swagger. Same laugh. Same borrowed brilliance. This time, I wasn't invisible in the room. I asked one question. Just one. Calm, professional, almost innocent. I said, "Daniel, can you walk us through how you calculated the projected conversion lift? I want to make sure we're aligning with last quarter's baseline." Silence. He hesitated. He fumbled. Because he had never actually built the numbers. He didn't understand them deeply enough to defend them, because they weren't his. They were mine, and I had built in a flaw only the real author would catch. Patricia noticed the hesitation. Leadership noticed the hesitation. In a room full of executives who reward confidence, hesitation is a death sentence. He recovered, barely, mumbling something about refining the model further. But the damage was done. A tiny crack had opened. And cracks, once they start, don't close on their own. If you think this is where it ends, you're wrong. This is only where it begins. Stay with me. Over the following 2 months, I repeated this pattern carefully, deliberately. Not out of pure sabotage, but out of quiet exposure. Every idea I gave Daniel had a small imperfection built for someone who actually understood strategy to catch, but invisible to someone who was simply performing understanding. Each time in meetings I asked calm, simple, professional questions. Never accusatory. Never emotional. Just precise. Can you clarify the data source here? What's the timeline for testing this before rollout? How does this align with the client's actual KPIs from last quarter? Each question was a small blade. Each hesitation from Daniel was a small cut. Nobody in that room could tell what I was doing, because I never raised my voice, and I never once said his name with anything but professional courtesy. Meanwhile, I kept building my own case quietly on the side. I started taking on smaller projects that Daniel wasn't involved in at all. Projects with my name on them, from the very first slide to the very last. Small wins. Steady ones. The kind that don't make headlines but make a very clear paper trail. People started noticing something. Not loudly. Quietly. The way water finds cracks in concrete. Patricia started copying me on emails Daniel used to be looped in alone. Clients started asking for me directly on calls, because I was the one who actually understood the strategy when questions got specific. Colleagues started coming to my desk instead of his, when they needed a real answer instead of a confident smile. He tried to pull me closer again. More coffee. More flattery. And we make such a great team, you know that? I think leadership's starting to notice how well we work together. We. Such a dangerous, convenient little word for people like him. I smiled and said, "We really do work well together, Daniel." He had no idea I was simply keeping my enemy close enough to watch him fall. The breaking point came during the biggest pitch of the year. Our agency's largest client, an 8-figure account, was reconsidering their contract. Leadership needed something extraordinary. This wasn't a small internal meeting. This was in front of the client's entire executive board. Daniel was chosen to lead the pitch. Of course he was. He was the golden boy, the senior strategist, the face of innovation at our agency. He came to me 3 days before the pitch, more nervous than I'd ever seen him. I really need this one to be perfect. Can you help me build something incredible?" This was the moment I had been waiting months for. I said yes. I built him a strategy deck. Genuinely brilliant this time. No flows. No traps. Because I didn't need a trap anymore. I needed something else. I needed him standing in front of that client's entire board, taking credit for something so specific, so personal, so clearly born from my exact voice and thinking, that anyone who later saw the original files would know exactly whose work it truly was. I built in small signatures. Phrasing patterns I always use. A specific structural format I've used in every single deck I've built for 4 years. One that's completely different from Daniel's usual style. Little fingerprints, invisible unless you were looking for them, but undeniable once someone did. And then quietly 2 days before the pitch, I sent the original files, time-stamped, dated, saved in my personal email months in advance, to one specific person. Patricia. Not as an accusation. I never once said, "Daniel is stealing my work." I simply wrote, "Hi Patricia, wanted to share some of the strategic frameworks I've been developing over the past few months, in case they're useful context before Friday's big pitch. Let me know if any of this overlaps with what's being presented." I attached everything. Every draft. Every timestamp. Every version history showing exactly when each idea was created, months before Daniel ever discovered them in his own meetings. I didn't need to say a single accusatory word. The date said everything. If you think Patricia didn't notice, you're about to find out just how wrong that is. Patricia is not a woman who misses details. That's exactly why she runs the department. She opened my email the night before the pitch. She compared timestamps. She compared writing style. She compared strategic structures against a folder of my previous work she already had on file from 4 years of my quiet, reliable contributions. She said nothing to Daniel. She didn't need to. She simply attended the pitch the next day, along with 2 other senior executives, and she watched. Daniel walked into that boardroom the next morning like he owned the building. Tailored suit. Easy smile. Full confidence. He had no idea the ground beneath him had already cracked wide open. He presented the strategy beautifully. I'll give him that. He's a good performer. But performance and understanding are 2 very different things. Then the client's chief marketing officer asked a detailed question about the data modeling behind one specific projection. A modeling approach that was entirely mine, built with a specific method I've used for years. Daniel froze. He tried to bluff his way through it. He always could talk his way past surface-level questions. But this wasn't surface level. This was deep, technical, and precise. He stumbled. He contradicted himself. He said something that directly conflicted with a number on his own slide. The client's team exchanged looks. Not good looks. Patricia sat quietly in the back of the room, watching, taking notes, waiting. That pitch, the biggest pitch of the year, did not go the way Daniel expected. The client left the meeting unconvinced, uneasy, and asking for a follow-up call with additional strategic clarity. That phrase, in corporate language, means something went very wrong. If you think Daniel's story ends with a stern talking to, you clearly don't know what's coming next. Stay with me. 2 days after the failed pitch, I was called into Patricia's office. My heart pounded walking in, but not from fear. From anticipation. She closed the door. She sat across from me, folder in hand. My folder. My documented history. I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. I simply said, "Everything in that folder has a timestamp, Patricia. I think the dates speak for themselves." She looked at me for a long moment. Then she nodded slowly, like several pieces of a puzzle she'd been quietly assembling for months had finally clicked into place. She said, "I had a feeling. For a while now, actually." Then she told me something I didn't expect. She said Daniel's numbers had been inconsistent for months. Small mistakes, gaps in understanding during follow-up questions, clients occasionally mentioning that the brilliant ideas from meetings never quite matched the execution afterward. She had been watching, quietly, the same way I had. Two very different women, both patient, both paying attention, arriving at the same conclusion from different directions. She asked me one final question. "Why didn't you say something sooner?" I told her the truth. Because nobody believes the quiet girl over the confident guy. Not with words alone. I needed proof no one could argue with. She nodded again. And then she said something I will never forget. "You should have had that promotion 6 months ago." If you think that sentence was satisfying, wait until you hear what happened 1 week later. Daniel was called into a meeting with HR and senior leadership. I wasn't in the room, but I heard enough from people who were. And enough from the silence that followed him around the office for the rest of that day. His promotion was reversed. Quietly, officially, without a company-wide email this time. No announcement. No congratulations. Just paperwork and a demotion back to his previous role. With a formal note in his file about misrepresentation of authorship on strategic deliverables. That's corporate language for, "We know you stole, and we're not forgetting it." The corner desk was gone within a week. The small team he'd been given to manage was reassigned. Clients who once praised him started requesting me by name for strategy calls instead. And then 3 weeks later, another company-wide email went out. Subject line: "Congratulations to our newest senior strategist." My name. My photo. My promotion. 10% raise. The corner desk. My own team. Everything Daniel had stolen, now sitting exactly where it always should have been. People congratulated me all day. Genuine congratulations this time, because everyone quietly somehow knew the real story by then. Offices are small worlds. Truth travels, even without anyone saying it out loud. Daniel didn't come by my desk that day. He didn't say a single word to me. He kept his head down, packed up his old desk, and requested a transfer to a different department 3 weeks later. I heard he left the company entirely about 2 months after that. I never celebrated loudly. I never gloated in front of him. I didn't need to. The paperwork did all the talking I never had to do myself. If you're still here, you already know this story isn't really about Daniel. Not anymore. Let me tell you what it's really about. It's about every quiet person who's ever watched someone louder, more confident, more charming, take credit for work that wasn't theirs. It's about every woman who's been told to stay professional, while watching her ideas walk out of a room wearing someone else's name. Here's what I learned through all of this. You don't have to scream to be heard. You don't have to burn everything down to win. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stay quiet, stay patient, and simply document the truth until it becomes undeniable. Revenge doesn't have to be loud. Loud revenge feels good for about 5 minutes, and then makes you look unstable in front of the very people who need to trust you. Quiet revenge, the kind built on patience, proof, and timing, doesn't just win the moment. It wins the entire narrative. Daniel didn't lose his promotion because I yelled at him in a meeting. He lost it because I let the truth build itself, brick by brick, timestamp by timestamp, until there was no room left for his version of events. If there's one thing I want you to take from my story, it's this. Protect your work. Document everything. Send yourself that email. Save that draft. Keep that timestamp. Not because you're planning revenge, but because the truth needs evidence to survive in rooms where confidence is mistaken for competence. And if someone ever takes credit for your work, don't panic and don't explode. Smile. Stay calm. Start building your paper trail. Because the quietest person in the room is often the one holding all the real power. They just haven't shown their hand yet. And every single time someone new joins my team, I tell them one thing on their very first day. Keep your receipts. Not because you expect betrayal, but because if it ever comes, you'll already be ready. If this story hit home for you, if you've ever had your work stolen, your voice ignored, your credit handed to someone louder, I want to hear it. Tell me in the comments. Your name, your age, and what happened, because stories like these deserve to be told, and deserve to be heard. Subscribe if you want more stories like this one. Real stories, real consequences, real justice, told the way it actually happens. Quietly, patiently, completely. Because in the end, the truth doesn't need to shout. It just needs time. I'm Emily. And this is how I got my life back.